Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you returning and those of you that are new, this is our monthly, once a month, last Wednesday of every month, usability webinar. The purpose of this webinar is to go through various features and functions of the reservation software in an effort to help you better utilize the program and maximize its value for your business. So some of the things that we cover on the usability webinars may be things that you already know, maybe things that you've kind of explored with but haven't had time, and hopefully by letting me show them to you, it'll help you determine if those are features or functions that you can use in your day-to-day operations to streamline your efficiency. For those of you that aren't familiar with me, my name is Josh Wise. I'm the VP of Customer Success. My responsibility here at rezStream is to make sure that our clients are happy, putting smiles on faces, make sure that I can be an in-between between you, your property's needs, the feedback of our customers, and our internal development team so that we can continue making our product better and better. So please do always feel free to reach out to me and share any feedback or comments. As you guys should be able to see my screen now, here's my email and here's my direct phone number. So always want to hear what you have to say. It's very important to us. Help make sure that you're getting the most out of the software. So again, we do these once a month. They're going to be this year. They're going to be the last Wednesday of every month. So yeah, thank you so much for signing up. And then just a reminder, we record all these sessions. They all get recorded. So if you're signed up once, you'll have access to all the recordings. And even if you don't sign up, you'll have access to all the recordings. But basically, in this upper right-hand corner, if you click on this little bell icon, and you come to this third tab called Usability Webinars, we put all of our recordings right here within the software, so you or any of the users of the software on your staff can watch these at any point in time. So don't feel like you got to stop operating your business to pay attention here. Just know that they get recorded, and within about 24, 48 hours, we go ahead and toss them right in there. Okay. So today, what I want to spend time on in about 30 minutes or so is I really want to focus on the occupancy map. The majority of you are on the occupancy map every single day. A good portion of our customers are using the occupancy map as the foundation of this product and everything that they do. So it's really important to make sure that everyone understands the robust nature of the occupancy map and all the features and functions that it allows. Also, guys, as we're kind of going through here, within your GoToMeeting webinar little icon, pop-up thing should be in the upper right-hand corner on most computers. There's a questions or a little chat thing. So if you think of things as I'm kind of going through this, I can't hear you, you can't talk to me on this particular webinar session, but go ahead and jot them down and I'll do my best to cover them at the end, and if not, I'll try and follow up with you directly on those things. So, okay, so I'm going to navigate over to the occupancy map from the navigation on the left-hand side. Now, keep in mind, my occupancy map is going to look different than yours. I do a lot of trainings and demos on mine, and so it may not look very cohesive in terms of what you see here, and I don't have a ton of reservations in here, so it looks a little bit different, but in general, they're all the same in terms of the function. So again, as we know, units on the left-hand side, dates across the top here, right? So something to pay attention to here is this line, okay? And the whole purpose behind this line is that you know, people historically have wanted a reference point for today. So you're constantly moving through the occupancy map, checking dates, making reservations, and things of that nature. And so we wanted a clear visual representation of today. So in addition to this line indicating today's date, if you hit this little pin mark, it'll take you back to today. So as you navigate through this occupancy map and wherever you go, you pick out your dates, you hit this little pin here, and it always takes you back to today, and you can confirm that by this red line. Now, some of you may have noticed, some of you may not, some of you may like it, some of you may hate it, but this line moves throughout the day. So at the beginning of the day, first thing in the morning, the line will be over here, and then around high noon, the line will be right in the middle, and then as you progress through the day, this line just keeps moving. I've got some people that absolutely love it and some people hate it. I think ideally here, as we peel back on certain things, maybe what we do is we open up some options. So maybe remove the line, fix the line, keep it in the same spot at all times, or, you know, let it function how it does now where it moves. But nonetheless, that's the purpose of that line, okay? Something else here to pay attention to, you'll notice here for Wednesday, I have 2 people coming in here Wednesday in the Victorian and 1 in the Golden Nugget. So I've got 2 reservations out of all my rooms. For those of you that operate at a high occupancy or during those peak times where you have high occupancy and maybe you've got more rooms and you got to scroll up and down here on the occupancy map to see them, a real quick way to see what is available is you simply just click on the day that you're looking to find available units. So if I simply click on this cell here, Wednesday the 27th, I click it once with my mouse, what happens is it pushes all the reservations to the very bottom, and it puts all of the units with availability to the top. And you saw that message that came up and displayed, and it said something, well, let me just click it again because I missed it. So I'm going to unfilter here. So there's those 2 reservations. I'm going to click on this button, and it's letting me know here that I've got 13 units with availability today, right? So that's a quick way for you to see what is available. So again, on your weekends or in your busy season, when you've got a lot of reservations going on and maybe not a lot of availability, one simple click on any day will push all the reservations to the bottom and put all the available units up to the top so you can efficiently navigate the occupancy map to see what's available without having to scroll up and down depending upon your view settings or how many units that you have. And then you'll notice here, if I just click this filter units button to turn it off, then it will return to my normal occupancy map in my normal view with the list of units that I've got in the order that I've set them up as. So it's as simple as clicking that to see available units and clicking the filter to turn it off to get back to your normal view. So hopefully that feature and function that maybe you didn't know about can be of some value to you. Okay, moving along. The next setting up here in the occupancy map is what we call a single unit selection versus a group unit selection, okay? So by default, we're assuming that the majority of everyone is making a single reservation, meaning that someone that you're speaking to or is standing in front of you wants to book one single unit, okay? And so by default, we toggle into the single unit selection, and as you all well know, you then click and drag the unit that you're interested in to continue on to make that reservation, right? Pretty simple stuff. For those of you that do group reservations, and for you new clients that aren't as familiar with the program because you're just getting going on it, if I click on this group selection function, it now puts me in a mode where the system is under the impression that you're speaking with someone, a group leader, and they want to book more than one unit. So as I click and drag on the occupancy map, it's going to add to that single reservation multiple different units here. Wherever I click, it's just going to keep adding as if I've got a bunch of people here that are going to be making reservations in multiple different units, right? And what it's doing here is it's giving you a price quote related for that particular thing. So as you're speaking to that group leader, if you will, and they're saying, okay, well, they want the Victorian for 2 nights. How much is it? Well, it's $317.92. Okay, well, they want the aquarium for 3 nights. How much is it? Well, it's $471.88, right? So it's a convenient way of displaying that information. And then obviously, as you continue on, you can book that group now and then add the person and take your payments and send your letters and things of that nature. As you all should be familiar with at this point, if you click on something and someone changes their mind, or you click the wrong thing, or you want to kind of start all over, you can simply hit cancel or simply hit this clear selection button. Either one of these will basically remove whatever action you just took on your click and drag method, whether you're in a single reservation mode or a group reservation mode, and it will remove those selections so you can start over there. So in terms of making reservations, again, guys, we're defaulting and making the assumption that everyone functions off a single unit reservation. But for those of you that want to take group reservations, go ahead and toggle over into the group selection mode. So pretty easy stuff up there, okay? All right, moving on to the next item up here is the wait list. So right now I have my wait list turned off, and you'll see here where it displays at the top of the occupancy map here. So when I turn this wait list on, What it does is it drops an extra row here, and it's saying wait list, and then I've got this little plus icon so that I can actually add people to my wait list. So, as example, someone wants to come in and they want to stay Wednesday or Thursday, but they have to have the Victorian room. Well, I'm sorry, sir, ma'am, I've got someone in there. Well, go ahead and slap me on your wait list, and if they cancel or whatever, give me a call back and let me know. So in order to utilize this function, first I must turn it on. And once you turn it on, it stays on until you turn it off. So some people have it on and some people don't add people to the wait list, so they turn it off. So we're big on options here, as you've probably gathered. And then when I want to interact with this thing, I simply click the plus sign here so that I can actually add someone to that wait list and progress through, actually doing that function so I can get their name and everything along those lines. So the wait list is pretty basic. Think of it as the ability to pick a particular date, and then you've got notes fields where you can reference, who it is, what their contact information is in the event someone drops off or you need to follow up with them. So pretty basic stuff there as it relates to a wait list. So assume that functions just like you would expect it to. And obviously, if somebody is missing something or needs something, that's what we want to hear back about so that we can enhance it. You've got the ability, guys, to filter units here. Some people are using this, some people aren't, but you can filter within the occupancy map by units, rates, for those of you that are running more than one property in a single database, or dates. So this has similar functions to other areas on the occupancy map that you can engage with. So it's really up to you to play around with that and see if it's something that you're interested in trying, obviously. We've got a print occupancy map function here. So some of you, for various different reasons, like to actually print out the occupancy map so you can see a start date and the number of days, and you can look at your preview of printing that function out. Some of you use that have poor internet in various areas of the country where maybe your internet's spotty and maybe it goes out every now and then, and you just like to have a backup that you print out. Other people that I speak with, they just log onto their cell phone, which is on a different cell tower network than their business internet, and they interact with the occupancy map that way when the business internet goes out. But nonetheless, you've got the ability to print that out. And then moving along here, guys, this one is occupancy map settings, okay? So you've likely been in here, but for those of you that have only touched a portion or haven't been in here that are newer to the program, it's important for us to go through this here. So once you click on that occupancy map settings, you've got 3 different sections that you can navigate to. So the first one here is occupancy colors. So when I come into occupancy map colors, as a general default, we display by payment status on the occupancy map, okay? And the things that you are likely familiar with is a no payment, a partial payment, deposit has been taken, or a full payment, okay? And I must have changed this color because normally we default this thing to green. So I'll just do that setting there. But typically it's a stoplight format, which is real easy to remember. You've paid me nothing, you've paid me something, you've paid me everything, and we're good here. And then from there, you'll see various other colors in here, whether it's checked in or checked out or future reservations, no-shows, things of that nature. Other colors would be like when I'm clicking and dragging, it comes into this blue. If I mark something out of service, it's in kind of this grayish, blackish color here. What's appealing about these options here, guys, is you don't have to pick between 4 colors. We don't limit it. You got a whole full scale here, so you pick whatever color it is that you want throughout this color, guide, if you will. But what's appealing about it is my coworker Jeff, he's colorblind, right? So he's got a red-blue colorblind thing, or whatever it is. Maybe it's, yeah, something like that. But anyway, so he goes in and he changes his color, so it's something that actually stands out to him based on his color blindness. So I think that's appealing, right? And then what you can do here is, if you don't want to view things by payment status, so let me just jump back here and show you. So these people have paid me nothing. So I'm currently viewing by payment status. They paid me nothing on these reservations, these invoices, and so it's red, right? But if I come into these occupancy map settings and I want to now display by in-house status, the colors that I'm going to see on the occupancy map are no longer going to be related to the payment status. They're going to be related to the in-house status here. So as I save those settings and refresh this occupancy map here, you should see these colors because I'm no longer tracking by payment status. I'm tracking by in-house status, whether they're checked in or checked out or not here, right? So the colors of reservations are going to be a different color now. So depending upon how your business operates, maybe you want to track the status of the color, or maybe you prefer to track whether they're checked in, checked out, those types of things, and then you just open up a reservation itself and see if any payments have been made. So again, big on options here. No two properties use every single feature or function exactly alike. So we want to make it as flexible as possible to meet the needs of as many people as possible, okay? Okay, so that's the first thing in the occupancy map settings. And then as you recall in most screens here, whatever you do in making a change, in the upper right-hand corner on the majority of every page that you change is a Save Settings button. So just make sure that you do that. So the next option here within occupancy map settings is unit colors, right? So we've got the ability here to toggle on or off or do a couple different things, right? So do we want to show a property color bar on the left-hand side, yes or no? Do we want to show a rate plan color bar on the left-hand side, a unit color, right? And so we've got some options here in terms of organizing our occupancy map. So for those of you that are 5 rooms strong or lower room count, you may not need those types of things. But for those of you that return by unit types instead of individual units, where you have 5 kings and 10 queens and 2 queens with jacuzzi tubs, right? You want to distinguish those quickly and easily in a visual way on the occupancy map, both for you and your staff. So when someone calls on the phone, you quickly just reference the color that is ingrained in your brain to know that, yes, I've got a queen bed with a jacuzzi tub available. It's the last one. You better get it now, right? So you have the ability to come in here and toggle those things on or off, as well as come into any of these things and again, pick whatever color your heart desires. And you'll notice this little kind of half circle thing, and basically what this does is it just takes something back to default. So it resets it back to whatever we determined default was. So let's say you come in here and you pick a color and you save it, but then the owner comes in or the innkeeper or whatever and they absolutely hate it and just, hey, go ahead and take it back to whatever it was before. Nobody's making any changes. But when you toggle these things on here, you've got the option to kind of see different views of how it's highlighting those things, so it's not intrusive or clutter looking. So you've got some control and flexibility there within those settings. So for those of you that, and think of this from not only an individual unit versus unit type thing, think of it as here's the rooms in the inn or the main building versus my cottages or my crofts that sit outside or separate, right? Think of this as I've got 2 different levels or 3 different levels in, let's say, a bed and breakfast. And anything that's red is bottom floor, anything that's green is middle floor, and anything that's neon yellow is the top floor, right? So whatever your business needs or however you define your units, wherever they're located, you have the flexibility to color those things in any way that you want for whatever purpose that you want. But nonetheless here, I'm sure you can think of some really creative ideas of how to use that feature itself. Okay, jumping back into occupancy map settings, display settings. So this one, I'm a big fan of this one here. So in our old reservation software, as well as almost every single reservation software that I've ever looked at in the last 10 years, the occupancy map is fixed. And they typically have a couple different options, small, medium, large, or 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month views, right? And so what they're saying, the developers of those other programs are basically saying, hey, I've got 1 size fits all t-shirt, or I've got 3 size fits all t-shirts and you pick which size you want. Well, we wanted to take it to another level because a lot of the feedback that we had is hey, rezStream, I'm using this size screen and I want to see this many units and this much time frame on the occupancy map. I need that. But then you talk to the next person and they're using a huge screen and it works perfect for them. And then you talk to the next person and they prefer to use it on a tablet, and so they only see 2 units at a time, right? So instead of having a one-size-fits-all or a 4-size-fits-all, 3-size-fits-all, whatever t-shirts, we wanted to give you guys the flexibility, okay? So you can then specifically come in and control the width and the height of these actual cells on the occupancy map, right? So if you've got 80 units and you want to see all of them on the occupancy map and you want to see a longer period of time, you're going to shrink those bad boys to maybe something along this size. And then as I save those settings here and come back to the occupancy map, now you see I've got all my units here, and I can see all of April and almost all of May in here in this particular view, right? And then if I jump back today, I've got the last of February and all of March and almost half of April here, right? And so that works for some people, right? But some of you are saying, oh my God, I can't see that thing. You know, maybe my eyes aren't the best. I got to put my glasses on or squint here. I don't like that at all. So maybe you guys want to change your display settings so that you got something bigger, or maybe you only have 5 rooms or whatever it is that you got, right? So you can come in here and adjust these settings and save them, and then you're going to get a completely different view where maybe you only see a week at a time and you're only seeing 4 units at a time, right? So the point here, guys, that I'm making is that rezStream is big on options, and I want to make sure that you understand that you can come in here per every database, not per user. Okay, so you can't have it different than Susie, and Susie can't have it different than Sam. It's database driven. So for your database itself, you can you know, work with your staff and determine what's the best view for everyone, right? And come to a consensus and then make the appropriate adjustments. So I'm very proud of that particular feature and the flexibility that our program offers to meet the needs of anyone and everyone, no matter what display, size of screen, or type of device they're using. So, and then again, if you hit the reset buttons, it takes it back to what we had deemed default, and then save those and it'll adjust it. Other things to pay attention to on here, guys, that you're probably already aware of is you control what days of the week are your weekends. So mine are Friday and Saturday. I want to know the status, clean or dirty, of each individual room as I go here. So I have both those settings on. So you'll see my weekends are Friday and Saturday shaded by this gray in the background here. And my week, Sunday through Thursday, have a white cell background. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the minus and plus signs are the indicators of dirty or clean. So for those of you, maybe you're a little larger, you have a housekeeping staff, maybe they walk around with a tablet, and as soon as their room's clean, they go ahead and come on here, click a button, update the status, and that way the front desk staff, reservationist knows that, hey, I can get people checked into this room, or I can sell this room and get people instant access, right? So try to make it convenient for you there. So that's the occupancy map settings button there, okay? Something else to pay attention to here, guys, is the rates. So what you're seeing here within the cells, as you've likely already know, are the actual rates. We can display one rate at a time, and whatever rate is at the top of the list in your rate plans back in the configuration rates setup is what we'll display here on the occupancy map. So if you want to see your rack rate, move that to the top. If you want to see your AAA rate all the time as a default, go ahead and click and drag that one to the top, and that's the rate that we'll display. So we try to help you guys out here along the way with a visual representation of your rate. So as you're talking to someone on the phone and quoting them, what have you, without any hesitation or additional effort, it's as efficient as possible, and you've got a rate displayed there. Okay. Next thing that I want to show you here is what we call our quick rate editor. Okay, so clicking on this money sign will take you into a quick rate editor, and this bad boy, for a lack of a better term, is very, very functional in the sense that you can do a bunch of different stuff in here. Okay, so first thing that I'll show you here on the left hand side is it's broken down by your rates. Okay, that's kind of how the system is configured. So when you're on the occupancy map, you see your units, right? Well, when you enter your quick rate editor, we're displaying it by the rates, okay? So I've got a bed and breakfast rate plan, and within my bed and breakfast rate plan, I've got a best available rate and a test rate and a 20% promo rate, AAA, blah, 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 blah. So here's all the rates within my rate plan. Within my Queen Suite with Jacuzzi rate plan, I've got an online and a rack rate, and so on and so forth, okay? So you can quickly and conveniently see the various different rates. So although on the occupancy map, you can only display one rate at a time, and the reason why we limit that is imagine having all of this data in a single cell for a single unit on the occupancy map. It would just be a cluttered, jumbled mess, right? So if you don't want to jump back into the configuration rate section, then click this quick rate editor button to see the various different rates that you offer for any given time frame that you're looking at, okay? So that's how this is structured. And then obviously across the top, you have the months and the days of the week and the dates. And then you'll notice here, I've got a little percentage sign, and what this is showing me is this is occupancy for that particular day. So overall, for Wednesday the 27th, my occupancy is sitting at 15%. Overall, for all my units on the 28th, my occupancy is at 15%. However, on both of those days, my occupancy for this particular rate plan is at 40%, right? Because I've got so many units within that particular rate plan. So not only can I see my overall occupancy for any single day period, I can see my occupancy broken down by rate plan, so I can see which is functioning well and which is not functioning well and make any appropriate adjustments as I need, okay? All right, within this screen here, guys, you've got similar functionality as you have on the occupancy map, okay? Meaning that you can click any individual cell and it will bring up a dialog box, or you can click and drag any number of cells and it will bring up the dialog box. Okay, so similar to clicking and dragging on the occupancy map, right, and it bringing up the dialog box to continue on with your reservation, we wanted to keep the same functionality. So just because you're in a different page or section within our software, we didn't want to change the user experience, right? So the more we can keep that user experience within a function similar, the easier it is for you to use the program, right? Because your brain doesn't have to switch gears and say, oh, I need to interact with it this way, right? So from a usability standpoint, the development team did a phenomenal job here. Okay, now you're noticing here, once I actually click on an actual rate or cell or rate plan, this dialog box that pops up gives me the opportunity to make many different adjustments. So I want you to pay attention to the power and flexibility here, and think of this quick rate editor as something that I do on the fly, right? I need to get heads in beds the day before because I'm not filling up this weekend, and so I want to adjust the rate and I want to lower it. And I've got the ability to lower it or raise it by a percentage or a fixed value or set it to a specific dollar amount, right? So that's pretty easy. So if I want to adjust this thing by 10%, I can, and when I hit save, then it's going to adjust those rates there that I've highlighted on the screen and make those appropriate adjustments, right? So now you'll notice here that I've got a 110 versus my 100, and instead of my, I think it was the 350 that I had, now I got 385 for those dates that I highlighted here, right? So it's pretty easy and convenient in terms of making adjustments there. So let me just click on another cell here and bring that dialog box back up because you've got so much more flexibility. So again, raise it or lower it by a percentage, a fixed value, or set it to something specific. I want it to be 75. I don't want to do the math up or down percentage-wise or whatever. And then after the rate, you've got the ability to change the minimum length, right? So do I want to relax a minimum night stay? I've got a 2-night minimum here for this particular rate plan for this weekend. Do I want to change that to a 3-night minimum because maybe a holiday's coming up? Or do I want to relax it to a 1-night minimum, right? So I've got the ability to do that. I also got the ability to adjust my extra charges for people, right? So most of you have a rate, and that rate typically includes 2 people. And then some of you are charging for a 3rd adult or a child or whatever it is that you have your guests set up as. Mine are adults and kids under 13s and dogs. So I can then on the fly change those fees for whatever reason, as well as the base capacity, which is how many people are included in this rate. So like I said, most of you have a rate that includes 2 people, but some of you out there have a rate that includes 1, so you can adjust those things on the fly, right? Other things that you can do on this screen is maybe you want to close a rate out, okay? So you no longer want this particular unit to be bookable for this period of time frame for whatever reason.
You don't want to open it up online. You don't want to open it up to the OTAs. You just want to close that bad boy down. You want that to be a spillover room, or maybe it's out of service or whatever, and you want to close it down here. You have those options, okay? So the flexibility within the screen is pretty vast. Now, something else to pay attention to here. Instead of just clicking on a specific rate plan for a specific day or a couple of days, if I want to adjust all the rates for a particular day for whatever reason, this box up here, all, and this box, if I click on this thing, it's going to highlight everything or all of them, right? Whereas, let me just close this down. If I only want to adjust the rates or some particular setting related to the units on this rate plan for a particular date or days, I then click this box and this arrow pointing down, and I'm only going to get these guys within that rate plan, right? So if I click on the all cell drop down, I get everything. If I click on any particular rate plan cell drop down, I get just those, right? So again, think of this quick rate editor as an on-the-fly, simplistic approach to do promo sales, flash sales. I just realized that I have high demand and limited supply, and so I want to bump my rates up by 10% because I don't want to leave any money on the table. And then obviously you can use that example vice versa. I've got no one this weekend. What the heck's going on? I want to lower my rates last minute here, run a flash sale so I can get some heads and beds here. So that's the flexibility here within this quick rate editor. So I'm not sure how many of those of you are using it or aren't using it or don't know about it, but hopefully after this kind of walkthrough, you understand its function, how to get to it, and the things that you can do within it here, okay? All right, moving along here. And I'm going to hop back to the occupancy map. Okay, what else do we got here? We've got a manage unit cleanliness feature here. So basically, guys, what you can do is if you want to go one by one on the occupancy map, you can click these buttons to change the status, clean to dirty. Well, we had some properties that had some more rooms, and that function wasn't very convenient. So what we did is we enhanced it with this manage unit cleanliness thing. So I can either mark all occupied units last night dirty, mark all units clean, mark all units dirty, right, as a global, or I can come in here and I can bang, 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 one by one and adjust these things in a global view and then save it, and it'll go ahead and make the appropriate adjustment. So for those of you maybe with a couple of units, 5, 10, whatever, maybe you want to engage with it right here on the occupancy map without going anywhere else. For those of you with more units, more occupancy, more things going on, maybe you want to come in here to this tool and bang, 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 or click any of these global buttons that kind of control that status, right? For those of you larger with more housekeepers that you give them access to the system, this is probably a feature or function that they've used. So pretty convenient there. Okay, a couple more things here and then I'll wrap up. I'm a little over 30 minutes, apologize, long-winded here. 2 more things. So last thing I want to show you here on this occupancy map is the way a good portion of you function is someone calls up on the phone and they say, hey, do you have the aquarium available for the 27th and 28th? Yes, I do. Okay, I'll take it. I click and drag. So first step, I'm selecting the units. Second step here is I'm actually adding the person to that reservation that I want. Third step here is that I'm confirming the rate, taking payment, right? And then I'm done, okay? Well, some of you out there prefer to kind of look at someone's history and you want to see what their preferences are of the past, and you want to have a conversation with them to make sure that you get them in the right room, or maybe that you entice them with an upgrade from previous. So what this little search icon does in the upper right hand corner is this is a second way to make a reservation. So let's say Josh Wise, me, calls up. Hey Josh, how's it going? Nice to talk to you. You know, I absolutely, you know, I'm glad you're calling back. I see that you've stayed here before. Let me just go ahead and take a look at your previous stays and see what's going on. Josh, are you still at 5698 Melody Drive in Telluride? Yes, you are. Okay, great. Well, clearly I see that you've stayed 10 times before with us. It looks like the last time you stayed was on Valentine's Day in the Vineyard Room. How was that experience? Oh, you liked it? You didn't like it so much? Okay, well, no, that's good feedback. I appreciate it. Well, I saw back in the summer of 17, you stayed in the Vineyard. What did you think about that room? Oh, you really loved it? Okay, well, that's great. That's absolutely awesome. Well, let's go ahead and move along here with that reservation. I see that we've got the, you know, the Vineyard available here. So let me go ahead and get you booked in here in that Vineyard. right? So what I've done here, an example, guys, is I've started with the person. So I've already got the person associated with my reservation. And if I interact anywhere here on this occupancy map, clicking and dragging, right, then I move on to book that unit, it's already got the person associated, right? So in the first example I showed you, we started with the unit, then we had the person, then we confirmed the rate, took payment. Well, in this example, we started with the person, then we added their unit preference, and then we're confirming the rate, right? So it's just two different ways to interact with the occupancy map depending upon how you want to engage your business. So as an example, the majority of you start with the unit, add the person, but I've got some properties where they want to dive into the history. They want to know, does that person prefer a particular room? Is that person open to cross sales or upsells or buying packages or point of sale items? And so they're trying to have a different type of experience during that reservation cycle. And so again, the kind of theme here that you're grasping is that rezStream believe in options, and we want to make it as flexible, user-friendly for as many people in how you want to operate your business. But a lot of people I talk to really like this feature. They just don't know about it or how to do it. So hopefully after today, you kind of got an idea of how that works, okay? Okay, two more things. I'm wrapping up here, I promise. If I interact with any reservation here, let me just close these tabs down. If I interact with any reservation here, and let's say I go view this invoice, if I hover over this back button here, you're going to notice three different options. I can go back, I can close it all together, or I can open a new tab, okay? Well, what happens when I click on open a new tab is that it slaps a tab up here of recent work that has been performed, okay? So a practical example of this is I'm taking a reservation and I need to process a payment, right? And as soon as I hang up the phone rings again, a guest walks up, my boss is yelling at me, I got a plumbing issue and a water leak, and I'm getting distracted because I'm wearing multiple hats and I need to multitask, as you all do, right? Well, then I go on and I take the next phone call and I make the next reservation because I don't want to lose out on the business. And so I progress with the second person, right? And I do my thing and I make the reservation. Oh crap, I forgot to run the deposit payment on the last guy I talked to. Well, I just look up here, and good thing I opened up that new tab. So I just quickly jump back into that tab and I jump in and I make that payment because I didn't forget to do the step. I just had to move on to the next task, right? So in your guys' day-to-day operations, imagine how many times you're doing one thing and your brain is focused and something else comes up, and the third thing, fourth thing, fifth thing, sixth thing, seventh thing, and before you know it, you've got to retrace your steps when you come up for air here and can breathe again, and you got to complete the cycle of those reservations or whatever function you're doing. So within various different sections of the program, whether it's an invoice or whether it's a reservation or whatever have you, you have the ability to open up a tab, guys, and kind of pop that thing open, so that way it tosses it up here and you don't forget about those things that you previously did. So hopefully that function helps you. Now, I was talking with one of the developers yesterday, and maybe instead of open new tab, which to me makes me think we're going to open a new browser tab, maybe we change the verbiage to say pin to top or something along those lines. So anyways, that's what that function is. Okay, last thing I want to talk about here is what we're currently working on, not necessarily currently working on because we're working on multiple things always, but the next release that's currently in our test environment that we're beating up to make sure it's functioning properly is the ability to have custom field letter codes, okay? So what I mean by that is if I jump into any letter within my configuration section, so any letter that I've created, you guys have likely dealt with the usability experience related to those letters and letter codes. So as I jump into any letter, anything in these boxes are letter codes, right? And if I want to delete a letter code, I click on it, delete it. If I want to add a letter code, I go to where I want to add it. I click this drop down. I can only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time. I got to scroll down this list to find the one that I want, and I add it. Oops, I made a mistake. I delete it. I need to add another one. Every time I come back in here, I can only see 5, and I got to re-scroll down the list, right? So we're enhancing that experience, right? Because this sucks, for lack of a better term. So we're enhancing that. But then more importantly here, the list of letter codes are specific to what we've created to the fields that exist. I think the count that I had is 164. So we got 164 different dang fields that have a letter code associated with it. But some of you are creating, if I could jump into a reservation here, some of you are creating very specific fields, custom fields for your business, right? And you want those fields to have a letter code associated with them so you can put them in your communication with your guests. So what this next release is going to do is it's going to be able to allow you, when you create a custom field, to have a letter code generated associated to that custom field. So if you wanted to, you could add that to your letter communication. So I've been hearing that, we've been hearing that for a long time. So we're about to deliver that here in the very near future. For those of you who are saying, oh, damn, I didn't even know you could create a custom field. Where the heck do I do that? Within the configuration section here, if I scroll down here under customization, you'll see custom fields and dates. Excuse me, I highlighted too many things. And if I click on this here, when I add a new custom field, I can determine if I want this custom field to apply to person data, which is your people, your guest information, those screens, or do I want this to apply to reservation data, which is your reservation. So is it specific to the person, anniversary, allergies, VIP, repeat guests, whatever, or is it specific to a reservation, arrival time, late check-in, late check-out, make and model of car, license plate, whatever, allergies, packages, pack and plays, whatever, right? And then you can determine if you want those to be flagged as important or required or shown on the booking engine. But nonetheless, this is where you come in and create those custom fields. And then again, the point that I'm making here in the very near future, you will be able to add letter codes to those things. So, okay, guys. So as it relates to questions here, one of the questions is, can we ask questions? You can, but you got to type them in. So I see one question here, and I don't know if it would apply to everyone, so I'll handle that offline, Terry, and follow up with you directly. So guys, that concludes today. So hopefully today had some value to you. If you're just jumping back in and you missed any portion of this, just a friendly reminder here, within the program, if you come up here to this little bell icon and go to usability, give me about 2 days every time so that we can download it, upload it, create this section and slap it in here. So, and we always put it at the top of the list, and we always have a title of what it was about. So I'll go ahead and get that uploaded so you guys can rewatch this or share this recording with any of your staff that it may have value to, and hopefully it did. And then as usual, guys, if you have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, advice, usability, updates, new features, please, please, please share it. Your feedback will not go unheard. Your feedback will not be ignored. Use me as a go-between between the developers that are building this stuff and you guys who need this stuff. As a general reminder, we've got hundreds and hundreds of properties using our product, so we can't customize the product to be specific to your business. It's got to work for the masses in most cases, and that's kind of how we prioritize things. But I can assure you, if you've got a great idea, let's hear it. If you've got any idea, let's hear it. And you and I will walk through that process. And maybe we got to work around. Maybe we already have it. You don't know about it. Or maybe, you know, we need to get it built and get it on the roadmap. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Hope we're taking really good care of you. Hope you love the product. And again, let us know if you need anything or got any thoughts. So thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.